Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new malicious compliance content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
First one is titled, "You want the price I told you the first time?" Done. I work at a family-owned video game store in a big shopping strip at the beach. We're 80% retro stuff, but we always take modern games and consoles because they move quick, especially these days. I'm working my Tuesday opening shift, going as slow as weekday mornings usually do, when one of my favorite regulars, an old gentleman that loves talking movies with me, and a woman, who I'll be referring to as Country Karen due to her accent, come into the store within a minute or so of each other. I say hi to the regular. Country Karen comes to the counter. I'll tell him I'll be back once I'm done. Regular goes to check out our Blu-ray trades from the weekend. Country Karen starts to explain she bought 2 Switch lights for her nephews, not realizing they already had a regular Switch in the house. Says the kids lost the receipt, entirely her own fault for giving it to kids, so she can't return it and wants to know what I can do for a cash trade-in. She seems a little frazzled, but I chalk it up to stress, annoyance at her situation, since she explains she just came in from being told no at Target. I take the Switch Lite and take it out the box. It's about as factory new as it gets, with only a small tear on the box and a few kid-sized fingerprints on the screen I can wipe off. She says she just wants as much money back as she can at this point. I pull up the trade sheet to double-check our trade rates. A Switch Lite retails for $200. We normally sell used ones at $180, and give $100 store credit or $80 cash. Since this Switch Lite is basically factory new with the box, I decide to give her a bit of a deal. Me. Well, normally Switch Lites only trade for $80 cash, but I can do $110 for this because it's a popular color and in really good condition with a box. KK. What? That's so low. GameStop has a promotion and will give me $140 for it. Can't you do any better? Normally we try to beat GameStop's everything by at least 15%, but being corporate with more employees and less stock per store, they can get specials and promotions done we can't. Plus, we can only match them on trade value for newer consoles, due to the little profit we turn taking them at GameStop's prices. I explain this to Country Karen, and she goes from frazzled and a little impatient to, well, a Country Karen. Country Karen. Wow, I thought you guys would be better than GameStop since you're a small business, but if you're going to nick and dime me, I'll just go to them from now on. I audibly scoff at the woman's rudeness and tell her good luck. Perk of working family owned, I don't have to lie down and take shitty behavior. She gives me a nasty look, takes her Switch Lite back, and leaves the store. There's a couple in line behind her with a bag or 2 of game trades each by this point, so once she's gone I start helping them. Regular brings up a few of our movie trades. All 4 of us start talking movies while I get the games done. Mornings on weekdays usually aren't too bad, but for some reason I had a huge line of nothing but boxes of trade-ins per person come in while I was helping the first 2 guys out, and I was the only employee in the store that day. I finish the second person's trade and excuse myself from the movie talk to focus on powering through the new line of people. I'm about halfway done with the second box of absolute goldmine titles. SNES and Nintendo 64 games when Country Karen returns, looking very unhappy. I put on my best customer service smile and say welcome back. She ignores me, cuts past the rest of the line. Country Karen. I need to trade this now. I have to pick my nephews up from daycare and need the gas money. GameStop said their promotion is over. Me. Sorry to hear that, but I've got other customers I'm helping right now. You'll have to get in line. Country Karen. I said I need to trade this now, they're out soon and all this running around is going to make me late as it is. I look at gentleman I'm helping, who shrugs and says he doesn't mind, then at the 4 other people in line with boxes or bags of trades in hand, patiently waiting their turns. The next person in line is watching and giving Country Karen the best, the audacity of this witch face I've ever seen. Since it's one item and normally only takes a minute, I tell Country Karen fine, I'll ring her through quick. I suspend the current trade, take the light, double check it, then add it into the system and ask Country Karen for her ID, which she loudly sighs about and takes a minute digging through her purse to find. Next guy in line definitely isn't happy with her attitude, makes a comment to the woman he's with, that Country Karen, and I can't make out. Karen finally finds her ID and hands it over. I enter her info into our customer database, up the trade of the switch light to $110, and tell her the total. Much to my surprise, she balks as if I've just pissed in her morning macchiato, and indignantly states, "Country Karen, you told me $139.99 earlier. I want the money you said I'd get the first time I came in here." Me: "No ma'am, I said $110 because it's..." Country Karen: "No, you told me $139.99. I want the money you said I'd get the first time or there's going to be an issue." That's bullshit, since every single trade in our store rounds to a whole dollar amount, but Country Karen keeps insisting I told her what I'm assuming was the GameStop promotional trade price. At this point both I and the next guy in line are done with Country Karen. He loudly sighs and says, "Come on man." But Country Karen either can't hear him or doesn't care. I, on the other hand, give Country Karen another winning service smile. "Sure. Your trade will be $80 cash then." I can see the few brain cells left in Country Karen's wino head trying to process how the value has gone down instead of up. Country Karen: "That's less. I want the money." At this point she's yelling in the store, so I use my 8+ years of singing bass in church chorus to talk over her without sounding like I'm yelling back. Me: "I told you normally switch lights trade for $80 cash, but that I'd cut you a deal for $110. If you want the amount I told you the first time, that's $80. My regular and one of the first two trades are still near the till, and they both pipe up to support me and say I did, in fact, give her those numbers." Country Karen, red in the face and realizing her mistake, starts to backpedal. Country Karen: "God, fine. Just give me the $110 so I can leave already." Me: "No ma'am, you were very firm about wanting the first amount, so it'll be $80 cash for the trade." Country Karen looks like she's about to explode, before she checks the time on her phone and deflates. Country Karen: "Just give me the ducking money." Me: "Absolutely." I ring out the transaction for $80, make her sign the receipt saying she agrees to the trade, and then loudly count out $80 cash in 20s for her, which she snatches off the counter and storms out the store with. While the next guy in line is bent over the box of games in his arms laughing his ass off. Next one is titled, "You Won't Settle Until I Send a File Type Your Computer Will Open?" Okay. Hey guys, I hope you all enjoy another lawyer story. Same disclaim. I'm not your lawyer and none of this is legal advice. Don't take legal advice from internet randos. Client comes in with a seemingly simple auto collision. Client was hit. Other driver got out and said something like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" "I'm so sorry, I dropped my phone and reached to get it." Client had a dash cam which recorded the whole thing including the admission of guilt. Easy client, right? Turns out the admission was really important, because the type of accident didn't make a determination of fault easy. Imagine a rear-end collision at a red light as an easy determination, but a collision at a four-way stop sign as a hard determination. When the cops showed up, the police report found both drivers at fault and did not mention any statements from the other driver. But we have our admission and my client's damages were above the other guy's policy limit. So I send a demand to the insurance company for policy limits. Note that the insurance company has an obligation to negotiate in good faith, which becomes important later. Lawyer from insurance reaches out and says, basically, look, my client says they were driving safely, and the police report says shared fault. The initial offer is like 10 grand. I replied, yeah, but my client had a dash cam and it recorded your client admitting fault. It's important to understand that this was before dash cams were common. It wasn't my first case with a dashcam, but it might have been my third or fourth. No mention of the dashcam was made on the police report. Insurance attorney says, I imagine while twirling a dumb mustache. Interesting, can you send me a copy of the video? I say sure and send it over. He replies, I can't open this. So I send him a link to VLC Media Player. It's a weird extension, and Windows Media Player won't play it. But VLC will. Just follow the installer instructions and it should play no problem. He says, I'm not installing something to watch your alleged dashcam video. Send me a file I can play if you want me to consider it. This makes me unhappy, but I tried again. It will take less than a few minutes to install. You can watch the video and listen to your client admit fault. He says, we are done here until you send something I can play. Cue malicious compliance music, country grammar. Start super cool montage of me going through other client files. Stop montage as I open a file and my face is bathed in a golden light radiating from an old Memorex CD. So I found a different dashcam video, which did not contain any sound, but it could be played with Windows Media Player and it was close enough to my current client's fax that if you weren't paying attention it could pass. Other attorney just asked for a file he could play, right? I sent it over. He says, wow, no sound. Guess you're done, buddy. So I sued. During discovery I sent a CD over which included the original video and a copy of VLC. He must have ignored it because he didn't say anything about it. During a pre-trial motion hearing, I played the video for the judge. The judge might have heard the other lawyer's jaw hit his desk. The insurance attorney says, Your Honor, this is not the video he sent to me. In my mind's eye I see the malicious compliance Death Star preparing to fire. Judge, I thought he might say that. Here is a copy of our emails where I described the video, provided the video, and sent instructions on how to play it. Here is a copy of the CD I sent with discovery which also has the video and a copy of VLC. Finally, here is a copy of the unrelated video which I sent to fulfill his request of something he could play. Other attorney asks for a recess. Because he refused the initial demand of policy limits, I told him I would argue he did not negotiate in good faith. We settled for well above policy limits. Client was very happy. P.S. Don't go to law school, not worth. Next one is titled, Don't want to pay me $15 a day? Then pay them $250 a day instead. As a teen in the early 80s, I was a radio announcer. One of my jobs was at an AM daytimer. That is, a radio station that signs on at sunrise and signs off at sunset. The studios were separate from the transmitter site. The FCC requires that there be a working remote control system in place if the operator is not physically on site. The station moved their studios across town. For some reason, the phone company did not have the remote control process in place in time. Technically, this meant that someone had to be at the transmitter site the entire time the station was on the air. I was assigned the task of turning the transmitter on and off. That meant I had to get up pre-dawn and drive about 24 miles, round trip. They didn't want to pay me to stay at the site, so went home and repeat the process in the evening. I put 2 hours on my timesheet for each morning drive and 2 hours for each evening drive. I wasn't allowed to charge mileage. The owners questioned my daily 4 hours and say it should only take a minute to turn the transmitter on and off. They refused to pay me for this time, which was probably about $15 per day. Cue malicious compliance. If you're not going to pay me to do it, then I'm not going to do it. Get someone from the outside engineering firm to do it, which they did. The engineering firm, which wasn't going to court any issues with the FCC, stationed someone at the transmitter site from dawn to dusk, charged the radio station for 12+ hours a day, plus travel time, plus mileage. The radio station ended up paying $250 plus per day for an on-site operator until the telephone company got the remote control system working because they balked at my measly $15 per day charge. P.S. When Christmas rolled around that year, my request for vacation was turned down because a new guy had already requested the time off. Fine. Go ahead and schedule me. I'll spend Christmas with my grandparents anyway, and you can scramble to cover a Christmas morning shift at the last minute. I had a new job at another station already lined up for January. Next one is titled, You want to present my ideas as your own? Then don't be surprised if I hold out on you. A few years ago, I had an absolutely awful manager who was a micromanaging idiot. At one point, both he and I were going to attend a meeting with the sales team, to run down what we thought our product did better than our main competitor. A few days before that meeting, he emailed me and point blank asked me to tell him all the ways in which our product was better, so that he could present them as his own research. Well, I had worked hard on assembling my presentation, and I wasn't giving it all up that easily. So I replied with a few little wisps of information. Some freebies. Made it seem like I hadn't given the matter that much thought. The day of the meeting arrives and he presented this information proudly to the sales team. The big boss asked if anyone had anything else to add and I casually said, yes, and delivered a lengthy, in-depth presentation that was very enthusiastically received by the team. The manager's jaw dropped. He was stunned, he realized he'd been played, but he knew he couldn't complain or discipline me without admitting he had tried to steal all my ideas. For a myriad of reasons, he was fired a few months later. Last one is titled, I did give my seat to a woman. This story originally happened to my dad when he was in college, but I'm telling this story from an I perspective. A long time ago, in about 1996, I was riding the long bus to school just like every other day. I get on, take the last vacant seat and just ride for a few stops. In between, a woman, entitled Woman, and a few others entered the bus but had no free seats, so stood there. After 2 milliseconds, EU, entitled Woman, boards the bus and just orders me to get up, so she can sit there. I would have usually always given my seat to others because I'm kind, but the audacity and Karen-like behavior of demanding the seats, so I just ignored her. Then she snaps at me and screams at me for being rude, disrespectful and much more. I still ignored the 400 decibel screams and then she starts lecturing me about how kids can stand, but tired women deserve the seats much more than anyone. Quote. Cue malicious compliance. I heard the magic word, women, and just then sees a pregnant woman standing in the bus a few feet away. Still ignoring EU, I asked the pregnant lady to come here and take my seat as I stood up and let her sit. The pregnant lady was thankful, but then the EU spins me around and says, why did you give the seat to her and not me? And I just reply with her own words, tired women deserve the seats more than anyone. Quote. She just looks at me and just walks to the other end of the bus, realizing that she lost. That was a petty thing to do, but still worth her reaction. Thanks for listening.